Colleen Stan, also known by the world as the girl in the box, was kidnapped, raped, and tortured for 7 years by Cameron and Janice Hooker, who held her in a coffin-sized box under their bed for up to 23 hours a day. What Colleen did not know is that she was not their first victim. On January 31st, 1976, 1 year prior to Stan's abduction, Marie Elizabeth Spanhinky, 18 years old, vanished in Chico, California. Based on Janice Hooker's own testimony, she and her husband picked up Elizabeth Spanhinky in Chico. Cameron Hooker then prevented the teenager from exiting the vehicle and, like he later did with Stan, he placed her in the headbox.
He kept a picture, and he kept it in the outside the box.
Janice recalled Spanhinky wouldn't stop screaming during the horrific ordeal. So Cameron Hooker attempted to cut out the victim's vocal cords and later strangled her to death. The Jack Show is sponsored by HSMC. Welcome back. Okay, so we survived one of the most horrific situations over a 7-year period. The ups, the downs, the torture, the manipulation, the conspiracy, all of it. You are on a bus home. You've got freedom, August 10th. 1984. You get home. How did the police find out what happened? What happened legally after that?
Well, initially his wife begged me, she said that discussion that they had August 9th, I guess he promised her that he was going to change and he wasn't going to do this anymore and whatever. And which she didn't return to him for several weeks, but then she finally did. And so she begged me, please give him a chance to change. And so I was of the mindset that I was just so ecstatic just to be free, and I just wanted it to be over. So I was like, fine, I'll give him a chance, So.
But you're not going back.
Oh, no. So what ended up happening was she did return to him only for, I think it was maybe 2 months or less. And then she went to the police, and because I don't know what happened. And maybe she thought he was going to do it again. I don't know.
Maybe she listened to the voice inside her or something.
Yes.
Said, you need to do this.
So finally she went to the police. So then she calls me, and she's crying, and she says, some people are going to contact you, and you need to talk to them. And she hung up the phone, and that's all she said. And I'm like, what? So I call her back, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? And she said, I went to the police and told them what happened, and they're going to be contacting you. And I'm like, so why didn't you tell me that? Why you be all like mysterious, like some people are going to be contacting you.
You don't know if it's the company,
and you need to talk
or
to
if it's the law.
Yeah, because I'm still, I don't know 100% that there isn't a company, or she told me he wasn't involved, but she said there is a company and you should fear them. So she wasn't able to let all of that go, but she did tell me before I left on August 9th that he was not a part of it. And so I'm like, what the heck? So, okay. So the police contacted me, and they wanted to come and get my statement. And so, okay, I was still the mindset that I trust nobody. And so I told my parents, I want you to be there. And don't let them in the door until they prove to you that they're police and who they are, and show you badges or paperwork or all the above. And I said, because I don't know who these people are for reals, So they were there, and they were police, and they showed all their credentials, and they came and they interviewed me, and got my statement. And so I told them all the stuff, and they were like, well, everything you said matches everything Jan, his wife, had told them. But they said, there's one thing that she told us that you're not telling us. And so they actually asked me to leave the room, and they asked my parents. They said, well, his wife told us that there was another woman. And do you think Colleen's strong enough that we could ask her if she knows anything about this? And my parents said, yeah, ask her. And so they did.
And are we talking about Maria Elizabeth?
Yeah, Maria Elizabeth Spanicki, his first victim. So they asked me, did he ever say anything about this other woman? And I said, well, no. I said, but I always knew in my heart that there had been someone else. And I told him that he kept a picture, and he kept it in the outside the box that he had constructed underneath their waterbed. And so the box, I had to crawl in and crawl out. And so every time I crawled in, I could see this picture of this woman, but I didn't know who she was.
And when you say this box that you were staying in, obviously had to be small enough to fit underneath their waterbed.
Yeah, this box was probably not too much bigger than a coffin.
Colleen describes her experience of living in the box when we come back. Colleen Stan details her horrific experience.
It was big enough that I could like roll over. I couldn't sit up. I had to be laying down, but I could roll over long enough that I could stretch out, you know.
And this woman's picture was pretty much all
Yeah,
you
and
saw.
the picture was actually in between the actual box and the pedestal of his bed, and there was a little area in there, and he kept my purse in there that I had with me when I was abducted, and he propped this picture up against my purse so that I could see it.
Why do you think he did that?
Well, another form of control and power and intimidation. So I never asked who this woman was, and I didn't know why I was there. And so the police said, well, describe the woman in the picture to us, and I did. And as soon as I did, one of the detectives said, that's Marliz. And I was like, oh. And then they told me what Jan had said and what all happened. So then I got the confirmation as to why God had told me not to scream. because she said one of the things he did to her was he cut her vocal cords.
And Marie-Liz, again, the girl that was picked up in Chico, California, the story is that she was picked up, she was tortured, she was abused just like you, but in a very short period of time, she might not have followed his rules or been as quiet as you were, and he did physically cut out her vocal cords while she was still alive.
Yes, and that's not what killed her, but it was, I don't know how to just, evil, sadistic people, it's like if you fight them or you scream or you act like, well, it's not an act, but if you
Rebel in any sense.
or let them know how much you're suffering from the pain or any of these, all these things kind of excite them, get them going and whatever. So I don't know how else to describe it except in poor Marliz's situation was things got totally out of control.
And he just
because
couldn't
she's
stop
fighting
his.
him, she's screaming, she's going against, and it's just exciting him and getting him going more. And so, I mean, because of God and because he spoke to me and because he said, don't do this, don't say that, whatever he said, and I obeyed him, I survived and I lived. But so I learned right away, like, I don't want to say I know how his mind works, but I learned that don't do these things because it excited him, because it would make things be worse. It would make things go longer. It would make,
It was your fight for survival.
It would escalate things, yeah.
Right, and you
to a place
did
I
survive.
didn't want them to go.
You did survive, and I'm so glad God did speak to you, and I'm so glad that you recognized that because,
Yes.
Our faith has so many people have relied on faith to get them through some of the hardest times. And Colleen, you're one of the bravest,
Absolutely.
sweetest, nicest women
you.
I've ever met in my life. And
Thank
I've
you.
done over 175 shows, some really tough topics. And
Yeah.
this one is undoubtedly one of the toughest topics. And I just want you to know that from the bottom of my heart, my whole staff, the whole show, that we thank you and that I know we're going to make a difference. And the difference that I want to make is we talk about the crime and the victim,
Right.
these laws,
Right.
and the state of our unions today, California,
Right.
our legislations. And do you realize at home that Hooker
Right.
was given a sentence of 104 years, but yet just a short 30 years, 36 years later, what happens?
He was paroled September 27th, 2021.
When we come back, Colleen explains what laws allowed this to happen. With her captor paroled, Colleen knew she had to do something.
So before that, in 2020, I went and met with the people in charge in Red Bluff, the DA, the police chief, advocates, anybody and everybody who wanted to be involved, to say, hey, we have to try and do something to stop this, because the state of California had him on the parole train. He was coming out, and he would be returning to their community. And so they filed what's called the Sexually Violent Predator Law.
And do you think they did this because of the criminal reform for lighter
Yes.
offenders? And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, we now know that it's not light offenders. This is
No.
an umbrella of criminal reform, letting
Right.
some of the most violent criminals
Yes.
in the world out early.
Yes, that is a lie. Because I've seen the commercials on the TV, and now, oh, no, this won't be for the violent criminals. This will only be for the non-violent criminals. And that's a lie, because he's not a non-violent criminal. And I know a whole bunch of other criminals, because I have friends that I've helped, go through the process also.
In your advocacy,
Yes, and so, these people are not nonviolent people, and they are getting paroled. And so, what happened with him was he did have his parole date in 2021, and so the prison couldn't hold him anymore, so they put him in a car, a van, whatever, transported him up to San Mateo County, where, because that's where he was criminally tried, so they had the jurisdiction, and then started the process for this sexually violent predator trial. So the first hearings he had was a probable cause hearing. The probable cause hearing, just the judge decides, and then he decides, does he meet the criteria to be deemed a sexually violent predator?
which would give them the ability to do what?
So move forward to a trial.
Move forward to a trial in hopes that he would be proven to be so violent
Yes.
that he might not be able to be imprisoned, but he would be...
Well, what they did was they sent him to Colleen State Hospital, which is a prison hospital. And this hospital is kind of where they send all these sexually violent predators.
And what will this do?
So then the next hearing, hopefully they'll pick a date to start the trial. They'll have to pick a jury. I don't know that that will happen on that date. And they'll move forward with the trial.
Will you be there?
I don't have to be
Okay,
there. I
good.
wrote an impact statement for the probable cause hearing,
Okay.
which the judge, possibly an advocate, read it for me there, but the judge had that and all the other, reports.
Because
and
there was obviously enough evidence gathered after the fact.
Right.
What were some of the evidence? Did they ever find the head box? Did they
Oh,
find
yes.
the box?
Oh,
They
yeah.
found everything.
For the criminal trial, they had gobs of evidence. They had the box that I was kept in. They had the head box. They had all kinds of. They found whips. They found
So this was already proven, and that's why he was sentenced to 104 years.
cuffs, leather cuffs, handcuffs, everything. They found all kinds of stuff. And he had tons of sadistic pornography. They even found he had taken a picture of the slave contract, and he these kind of things he developed himself, so he put them on slides, and they found the slide of the slave contract, and so they had a copy of that.
So there was no
Because
question.
of course he had destroyed that once I left.
Colleen explains today's new criminal reform laws that have allowed Cameron Hooker, a violent sexual offender who was sentenced to 104 years in prison, parole in 2021. Closed captioning provided by
They even found he had taken a picture of the slave contract, and he these kind of things he developed himself, so he put them on slides, and they found the slide of the slave contract, and so they had a copy of that.
So there was no question.
Because of course he had destroyed that once I left.
Sure, as much as he could. So this court date that's coming up, what do you hope happens?
Well, I hope this is a civil trial now, because he's already been tried criminally for what he did to me.
So he'll never get out of this state hospital, is that correct?
Yes, if they get conviction under this, which civil has more like a 90% conviction rate or 80% or whatever, very high. Where the criminal's like 50-50, it can go either way.
Got it.
So, yes, so then he'll be sent permanently to Kalinga State Hospital.
Now, when we say permanently, is it permanently under a new sentence, or is this to finish out his sentence originally?
No, it's a new sentence.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, because according to the state of California, that's why he got paroled. He served his sentence.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, because, which is, it's not right.
It's not right.
For all people who have survived violent crime, you know, and then for the state to now tell us that, you know, your rights are not important, the criminal's rights are important.
What do you want to tell the state
The state needs...
about the change needed?
They need to start making the criminals pay, making the criminals do their sentences, and stop with this leniency, because a lot of them are getting out there reoffending, more people are being hurt, you know.
And we had a short discussion about, you know, when you're a victim of such a violent crime, and these people are at risk of getting out early, it's not just you that's been tortured. Your parents were worried. Your child is worried. You're worried that they're going to come back and hurt you.
Right. Yes, I've had all kinds of members in my family contact me, freaking out. He's going to get paroled. He's going to come after us, you know.
Unbelievable.
And he's going to come after you. He's going to come after your daughter, you know. And I have to calm him down. I get very angry that he's still terrorizing my family. And say, no, we're actively doing all this stuff to try to prevent that.
And you know, I want the Jack Show, as well as all my viewers and everybody at home, and Colleen, we're going to be with you over this next year or two. And let's make sure that we are helping in the fight to just correct some of the flaws in these new systems, which is it's not very hard to determine somebody who is such a violent offender and keeping them in jail.
Yeah.
We also need to put victims first. You are the innocent. I also want all of you at home to remember that there was one thing that stuck out to me in your story, and such a bond that I know we all share, even you at home, is listen to that voice inside. Yeah. God can be telling you something. He could be warning you. He could be helping you. He sees what you might not see.
Exactly.
And Colleen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your faith, because you are living proof that no matter what the earth has to put us through, that we can overcome with faith, due diligence, and I know that you've protected a lot of young people out there, because in today's world we have social media, Instagram, we've got TikTok, we've got all this social media that makes it so easy for you kids at home to meet a stranger. You don't even have to wait for 4 cars to pass by in order to jump in. You just have to meet somebody online. So I'm compelling all of you at home, parents, young adults, and teens, please be careful. Do your due diligence. Don't meet strangers online. And do not allow people to groom you. Grooming is such a huge part of why you were manipulated so long and so hard. Grooming takes place via text. Grooming takes place via social media. Recognize the signs of grooming. For more information about legislation and what you can do to change the laws right here in California, I'm going to be showing you, and up on the screen right now are a list of phone numbers, websites that you can go to and reach out to, even anonymously.
Thank you for getting the word out, because, because we have to make these politicians and the people in charge be accountable, and don't let them get away with, oh, well, there's nothing we can do. Really? You guys created this problem, now you have to stop it.
You're proof there's something they can do because you're making them do it, and we're going to stand behind you, okay? We don't want you to do this yourself. Colleen, thank you so very much. Thank you all for watching.